us on Facebook at Daunta A. Long. Follow us on Instagram at Daunta Long. Follow us on YouTube at Daunta A. Long. Thank you for tuning in to LongTalk.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Long Talk on this evening with yours truly, Daunta Long. I am so happy this evening to be back on the air. Last week we took a summer vacation to take a week off, and we are back and happy as ever to be back here live on this evening to share with you wonderful, relative, and much needed dialogue here on tonight's Tuesday edition of Long Talk. So again, we're so happy that you're here. As always, all of my friends, all of our fellow listeners and watchers, please take a moment and subscribe to Long Talk by following us on Facebook, whether you're on Instagram or perhaps even Twitter. And always excited about our Facebook audience, those that are always in the chats with us on YouTube. Thank you so much. Subscribe, please, for my YouTube audience. Follow and share, please, for my Facebook audience. Thank you so much for coming on and always participating in the meaningful dialogue that we call Long Talk. And so, again, thank you so very much. And I am just so thankful. Man, it's been a great summer. Again, we took last week to take the most needed vacation. We've been going all spring, all summer, and we decided to take 1 week off. And thank you so much for all of you that asked, where was Long Talk? Got so many messages while we were vacationing. Where is Long Talk? Hey, what are we talking about tonight? And all of you sent so many messages to us, but I'm glad that we were able to get the most needed rest and you were able to get the rest. But again, we're here tonight making sure that we bring you the needed conversation in the most relevant way that we call Long Talk. All right? All right. So listen, again, invite everybody in. It's going to be a great conversation tonight. I can't wait. I'm going to give you just a few moments to get in. Tonight, we're talking about representation in the midst of the crisis. So much to talk about, a lot of information to share. Gotten a lot of questions today about the necessary topic that we're going to discuss tonight, and we hope to address all of those questions. But if we do not get a chance to address every question in tonight's conversation, please, if you're on Facebook, put it in the comments. If you're on YouTube, it's all right to go ahead and put it in the chats, as our team will be feeding those comments to me and those questions. And hopefully in tonight's program, we can get them answered for you. There's a lot going on. Every couple of hours, breaking news is transpiring, whether it's local, whether it's community, whether it's even neighborhood, or even if it's national news. And we know we had a lot of that transpiring on this afternoon, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes as well. But tonight, our special guest is a community leader in every sense of the word. Tonight's guest has been in the trenches, been behind closed doors, and in many times has also been out in front. Perhaps you've picked up a newspaper or read a news article about her efforts as she's advocating for everybody. I mean, she advocates from seniors all the way to infants. Tonight, Long Talk audience, please help me welcome our special guest. She is the representative, the Georgia representative of the 74th District. Friends, tonight our special guest, Representative Valencia Stovall. How you doing this evening?
I am doing well. Thank you so much, Pastor Long, for inviting me to be on Long Talk.
Oh my goodness, I am thrilled that you've taken the time to come on and talk to us, as I know you're a very, very busy young lady.
Not too busy for my community and making sure that they're informed on all the issues and everything that's going on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen, tonight I want you to do us a favor and just go ahead as I do in each conversation, because while I have a great relationship in the know for what you do, but there are thousands of individuals that are not abreast or even in the know as to who you are and what you have been doing and what you are getting ready to do. So please, Representative, take just a moment and greet our audience and let everybody know exactly who you are.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm so appreciative for this opportunity. I am Valencia Stovall. I've been a House representative for the past 8 years, serving down at the state capitol, covering it in Clayton County, the city, portions of the cities of Morrow, Lake City, Forest Park, College Park, and Riverdale. But because I am a state elected official, I have to be concerned about the entire state. And so whenever I'm looking at legislation, of course, Clayton County is always been number one, but then I have to look at the other 158 counties as well. And being a state representative, we definitely had a lot of issues that we have had to tackle at the state capitol. And many of us found that we have been putting bandages on issues. And the real solutions have to come from Washington, D.C. And with that coming from Washington, D.C., we now have decided to run as a U.S. Senator, as an independent U.S. Senator. When you look at things that I've been able to accomplish working bipartisan. So I'm running as an independent because I'm not going to be loyal to one particular party. I understand and value the Democratic Party. I understand and I value also the Republican Party. My independent run is for being a champion for all of Georgia. You can't be a champion for all of Georgia if you're having to worry about what your party is going to tell you how to vote. And those are some of the things I've struggled through being a state representative down at the state capitol.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So you are taking a brand new position.
Yes.
I dare say maybe a untraditional position.
Yes.
And may I even go further, if you don't mind, madam, maybe even an unpopular position, because you've been a lifelong Democrat.
Yes, I've been a Democrat a long time. My dad is a Democrat and actually worked diligently in the Fulton County Democratic Party back in the early 70s and even up to the 80s and 90s. And so a lot of the campaigns we helped support over the years, myself and my two sisters have majority been on the Democratic ticket.
A lot of people don't know this, and you brought up your dad. If you're ever driving down 75, 85 North, and you will see the sign to the right. He has the bridge named after him.
Yes.
Because of his contribution to Fulton County and the state of Georgia. He has special recognition to have one of the main bridges that is passed over millions,
Yes.
millions of times per day.
Yes.
And it bears your father's name.
Yes.
Right there. Look for it. It says Lovett Stovall there to the right if you're traveling north, and also to the right if you're traveling south. And
Yes.
so, again, you have a lifelong allegiance to the Democratic Party, but now you're taking a different position. You're taking a different position. And before I get into that, and we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that tonight, you've been very busy on the House floor for these last 8 years, fighting for seniors, also fighting for tourism development, fighting for education, and we could talk about that a little bit. Also fighting for the farmers and agriculture.
Yes.
You you've been involved in local neighborhood units and helping also with Clayton State University and just doing so much. I could go on for half an hour talking about everything that you've done. Why is it that you've not had just one target group, but you've chosen to really apply your skill set to assisting and aiding so many different people from so many different walks of life?
It's because I still go back to my mom and my dad. We stayed in a very diverse community growing up. And when you talk about a need, the issues are not issues according to a party. Issues are issues according to the people's need. And we've seen that a lot even now with COVID-19. COVID-19 is not Democrat. COVID-19 is not Republican. COVID-19 is not independent. COVID-19 is the people issues, and they want resolutions. And so what I've done as a state representative for the 8 years is making sure that I was most as diverse as I could be. So because the issues that we face even down at the state capitol are not one-sided. So I have to be able to know what's going on in rural Georgia, what's going on in metro Atlanta, and then what's going on with our special need population, that was my first legislation I passed, House Bill 614, the Landon-Dunston Act, which allows video cameras to be placed in the classrooms of special needs students who are self-contained. And those are usually students who cannot speak for themselves. And so it took us about a year to even get that bill passed. My second bill that I passed in 2017 designate March the 21st as Single Parents Day here in the state of Georgia. And so it was not to glorify and promote single parents, people being single parents, but most of the time people become single parents of no fault of their own. And they're in special need of resources. And so I wanted to make sure it was on a national level that Single Parents Day was March the 21st. I wanted to make sure, working with another group of individuals, making sure that it's now designated in the state of Georgia. And so we've started a partnership with the Department of Health and Human Services for the state of Georgia. And on August the 22nd, we're doing a live virtual awards event recognizing single parents who were nominated across the state of Georgia. And we'll be doing that live on Facebook. And so those are the type of things that I've been able to do. You mentioned a little bit about the farmers market and the farmers. I talked about working bipartisan. That's one of the successes I've had that I'm probably the most proud of at the state capitol, is being able to work with both Republicans and Democrats. And one of those things is being able to be appointed as the chair of the House Study Committee for the Atlanta State Farmers Market over in Forest Park. Yep. And so with that, I was the chair, and there was one other Democrat, and then there were about 3 other Republicans that served on the committee with me. And from that, we came up with recommendations on how we want to revitalize the farmers market. The farmers market is the largest distribution center in Southeast for all the Georgia farmers. And so we were able to put money in the budget to repair 50-year-old buildings for maintenance. The most important part for Clayton County is that we were able to change the signage on frontage road on the Forest Parkway. It now reads Atlanta/Clayton County Produce and Terminal Market. The farmers market has always sat in Clayton County, at least for the last 50 years. It used to be in Atlanta, but as a stapler, everybody knows about coming to Forest Park. But they never will recognize Clayton County as the actual location of the farmers market. So now we have our recognition for that. Another important thing I wanted to mention about my bipartisan work, which leads me back to why I decided to run for U.S. Senate as an independent, is because there was an issue with the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson Airport with the collection of jet fuel tax for Clayton County. And the FAA, which is the Federal Aviation Administration, had a ruling that says that if you collect taxes at the airport, you have to spend those taxes at the airport. Well, that put Clayton County in a very odd position because we don't own the airport. The city of Atlanta does. They own and operate it. But 80% of the land sits in Clayton County. And so because of that ruling, we were actually going to be losing, and are losing about $20 million a year. And so I was able to use my bipartisan work and support over the years to go in and talk with Governor Deal. He was then the governor then, and we were able to walk out with $45 million for Clayton County set aside. There were other counties that benefited, but Clayton County was the one to be able to get the 45 as a stopgap so that the taxpayers of Clayton County would not have to pay that $45 million that was going to be a deficit in our budget. So those are the type of things. Atlanta Technical College is another one. For years, we've been trying to get a satellite office here in Clayton County. And so my bipartisanship work, I was able to go and talk with the governor's office. And now we have Atlanta Technical College has a satellite office on Highway 85 in Riverdale. So that means that we don't have to travel all the way to Atlanta for some of those classes. It will help with dual enrollment, which is another portion that I really push for, dual enrollment for our students.
Oh my goodness. I'm just sitting here thinking, oh my God, you have just put your footprint, not just one footprint, you've put both of your feet into the real estate of District 74. And yes, not only District 74, as you just said, but you've placed the rest of your body around the entire state of Georgia for the benefit of the people.
Yes.
And I wanted you to go through that long but necessary litany of your resume. You were actually filling out your resume for LongTalk if you didn't know it. But I wanted you to fill out that resume because I wanted everybody to understand that you are now deciding to take your efforts to the U.S. Senate. Yes. Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay. So like I said, all the work I've been doing over the 8 years, no matter how great it was, it still were just bandages we're putting on the issue. Mm-hmm. And so, when the real solution has to come from Washington, D.C. We can see now during COVID-19 how we're very dependent on the federal government. Mm-hmm. We're all independent, but even so, more so now. And we still don't have a resolution for the next round of CARES Act money. And so it's one party saying they want to get the victory, the other party saying they want to get the victory, and the people are stuck in the middle because now the unemployment insurance money ran out last Friday. Yeah. And we want to talk about those claims that are still need to be processed in the state of Georgia. They have not been processed, so people are still suffering. They're on the verge of getting evicted from their homes, their gas utilities being cut off, food supply is very short. Yes, we have these food banks that are open, but that's not enough. And these are not people that have been begging for help. These are people, employees that have worked and paid into the system. And now it's time for that system to pay them back doing something that was no fault of their own. Nobody is controlling what COVID-19 it has happened. And so when it happens, we expect for our government to respond, especially as taxpayers, we've been putting our money into the system. But now our government is not working efficiency, which is the other issue with why I'm deciding to run. We're looking at 3 areas of economic opportunity where we want to transform our education system. We have a 100-year-old system that is not working for every child. And so we now have seen those cracks that have happened. We talk about Jack in the Box. I don't know if you remember Jack in the Box. Mm-hmm. And you had to crank it. And then eventually, once you kept cranking it, Jack jumped out the box.
Eventually come up, yeah.
Yes, so that is what has happened in across the world, but more specifically in the United States. So now we've had to come up with waivers that we've used even with the education system, with the healthcare system. We've seen a lot, even with small businesses, which is another focus of mine, is making sure that we're supporting our micro small businesses. So right now, in the United States, the SBA classifies small businesses as 500 employees or less.
Or less, yeah.
What about those who are 100 employees, 50 employees, or 5, or even 1? They have no chance of being able to get their SBA loan money that came out because they were at the bottom end of the totem pole. But had they been reclassified as a micro small business, then that would have been a set aside for a small business, then a micro small business, and we would see. And majority of the micro small businesses are the ones that actually are hiring majority of the people in our communities. So when those businesses closed down, that affected our community tremendously. and some might not even open back up. And so when you talk about government efficiency, why is there such a wide gap between the federal government, the state, and then the local? Why they can't be working together? We talking about the whole thing with the masks. Why are we even having an argument about masks? Why are local cities being sued because they decide to do what they think is best about a mask, which is going to be safety for all? And that should have been a universal or statewide plan that was put together on how we as a state are going to combat COVID-19. And so we will now have issue with schools opening up too soon, now having to come back and close, and then trying to open back up. Now you talk about a disruption. That's a disruption with our students and even our teachers. And look at the mental impact that this is having on everybody. And so, and then thirdly is our global stewardship. We in America, yes, we want American jobs, but we can't be an island by ourselves because we don't have all the resources here in the United States. Mm-hmm. And so being able to improve upon international relations is going to be one of the things I'll be pushing for as well.
Wow. I think that at this point, you have laid out the platform. I'm so glad that you released and shared that platform with the LongTalk audience. And if you're just tuning in tonight, boy, you're in for a treat. Most times I never tell you to do this, but tonight you got to go back and watch what just happened moments ago when the representative laid out a very detailed resume of why she is more than qualified to run for this U.S. Senate seat. And so I just want to say now, with what you just stated in mind, the independent approach now will enable you to reach across the aisle. But so many are saying that we need a Democrat in order to control the Senate. And so let me bounce that off of you. With so many saying it's one thing if we get the president out, but if the Senate doesn't change, or if the Senate changes and we don't get the president out. But I want to look at it from this perspective, from those that will argue that the Senate race is almost equally or more important than the presidential race, to see the House tilt more towards Democrat. Again, why do you think that running as an independent will be more beneficial to the state of Georgia?
Well, it'll be beneficial to the state of Georgia because, like I said before, the issues are people's issues. The difference that comes in is usually because of how a particular party has their values or what they think are important. Like I said, my platform is both Democratic focused and also Republican focused. Mm-hmm. Because the issues are the people. And one thing I want everybody to understand is that when you're voting, if you decide I'm going to vote as a Democrat, I'm always voting as a Democrat, then you really are cheating yourself because you're not taking the time to really look at the individual who's running. Mm-hmm. And independent, I want to make sure that I would be that individual. You can look at my resume of what I've done, not because I'm a Democrat, but because I believe in fighting for the people. Mm-hmm. And because even when I was a Democrat, I was still being able to be accomplished at the state capitol because of the values that I brought as the individual person that I am. And I have respect at the state capitol with both my Democratic colleagues. They may tell you, I don't agree with how she handled everything, but at the end, I'm very effective in everything that I've ever done down at the state capitol, even in my community. Mm-hmm. And so take that, if you take the labels off of the individual person and take the R off, take the D off, you can even take the I off, and you look at what has Valencia Stovall done. And if she does this on the state level, what more can we expect from her on the federal level? What more will she bring back? There are two letters that I use, and it's called the AA. It's called awareness and access. Mm-hmm. What has been happening for so long, and even up on the Democratic control, awareness and access. If you're not aware of what's available, if you don't know what those departments do on the federal level, same thing on the state level, then you won't know how to go in and benefit from it and have access to it.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that I've done on the state level is finding out what's there, how do I fill in those gaps and bring the information back. So if the listening audience and those in Georgia, and this is a statewide race, this is not a Clayton County race. This is 159 counties. So if you live in the state of Georgia, you are a registered voter, then you can vote for me for the U.S. Senate race. And this particular race is the race that Senator Isaacson retired from on last year. And so it's called a special election because the people have to vote for who they want to represent them in Washington, D.C.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
With that independent and Democrat, take the D off, because even if the Democrats, if everybody's push is, we want the Democrats to take over the Senate. As an independent, I'm still going to be depending on what the issues are. You can still know that I'm going to fight for the people. There are two independents that are in the Senate right now, and one of them was Bernie Sanders, who ran as a Democrat. And even though he got a lot of flack from, but he became the number 2 slot when it came down to nationwide. So don't look at, oh, you're independent, you this and that. No, I'm an independent because I'm going to think independently. I'm going to vote independently. And you can count on me that every time I vote is going to be for the people and what I think is best for the people, and listening to what the needs of the people are.
Wow. And so I want to raise that up so that individuals will know. Again, this is the 2020 United States Senate special election in the state of Georgia. And again, share with our audience, why is this a special election?
Yes, so because we live in a democracy, and that in the way that we live, that we vote in the people we want to represent us. Mm-hmm. They're appointed, they are voted in. And so when Senator Isaacson retired from his seat, that left a vacant spot in the Senate, U.S. Senate. And so the governor made an appointment, but the appointment can only be for a certain amount of time. Then the election has to happen. And because this was not the normal year for Senator Isaacson's seat to be up, it would be to fill out the remaining 2 years of his seat. So when I win, then I'll be serving for 2 years. And then after the 2 years, I'll be back for re-election for 6 years after that. So that's why it's called a special election. And one other thing I did want to clear up, normally under normal circumstances, if you're running as an independent in the state of Georgia, you have to have a certain percentage of signatures in order to run. That's why you don't see more independents on the ballot, even on the state house, the state Senate, and even statewide, because it's a lot of work. But because this was a special election, I did not have to go and get any signatures. So that's why I decided that I'm going to run as an independent, because now it's called a free for all. That's what they kind of call a jungle race. That means anybody can get into the race. And you can get in and not even declare a certain party if you wanted to.
Sure.
We don't have a party chair. We don't have a party president, secretary. It's none of that. You're independent. And you're thinking independent.
Sure. I know, and I want everybody to know, because we're seeing a lot of ads and a lot of people are just somewhat flat out just confused. That's a term that I feel that I can use, and it's okay if you're out here and you're wondering now, which race is she talking about? This is seat 1. Am I correct? Seat 1 that Senator Isaacson vacated in his retirement. And currently, as you said, Governor Deal made a special appointment.
Governor Kemp.
Excuse me, Governor Kemp.
Maybe Kemp. With Deal, I might have had a better chance if it was Governor Deal.
Forgive me. Governor
right.
Kemp. Governor Kemp appointed the young lady, I believe it was Kelly Loeffler. And
I don't say my opponents' names. I just know Stovall. That's all.
Yeah. And so, fortunate for us, we will have to go to the ballot on November 3rd in that big day. And while many will go to the ballot on that big day to make sure that they vote their conscience in the presidential election. Again, why is this so significant that I even go down the ballot? I really should just vote for the president and then walk out, right?
Well, no, you should go all the way down the ballot, but make sure you stop at that U.S. Senate and look for Stovall on that ballot. The importance even of the Senate race, there are only 100 senators in the United States. There are two that represents each one of the 50 states.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a candidate, even after winning, I will be the first woman ever elected to be a U.S. Senator, first black and first black woman as well, ever represented from the state of Georgia. You're talking about a southern state that never has had a black person as being a U.S. Senator, and especially and even as a black woman, even as a woman, have ever never been in that position. And there are only a handful of women that are, even in the U.S. Senate now. So that's significant. And one of the jobs, as we all remember during the event of impeachment, as you saw, once the House filed it, they came over to the Senate, and the Senate was responsible for the trial of the impeachment. So he was impeached, but the trial did not go through on the Senate side. It was blocked, of course, by the Republicans. The other significant part of us with the senator is that we decide on, we confirm the judge appointments and other administrative appointments that are done by the president. Okay. So think about the Supreme Court justice and all those that are sitting on that high court bench, and you think about issues that come up before them. These are people that the senators had to confirm once the president made his recommendation or whoever recommendation. Then it comes to the Senate for those confirmations, and then even other higher positions that are made or suggested by the president as well. And also, when it comes down, I won't get too technical, even with filibustering, which means that's when you're taking a long time to get to the issue of trying to vote. Mm-hmm. And sometimes votes are held up to give people enough time, or the legislators enough time to go talk to each other to kind of see if you can convince them. So it's a lot of very significant with this particular position. And you want someone in there that understands how policies work. You can't have a brand new person coming into a position like that. It does not have any idea about how policy works, because you got to know how the committees work, because we're all appointed to committees. You got to know how to get that legislation through that committee. And then after it gets through the committee, it's another process of getting it on the Senate floor to actually get the vote on it. And then you got to be able to negotiate with the the president's office to even get it signed, because the president could veto it. So it's the same process that's similar to what we are doing on the state level. And I have that experience with even passing two bills and even being co-sponsors on a number of bills that have went through the whole process and did not get vetoed.
Wow. I am. I want to say to you that I think that you possess a wealth of experience, a wealth of knowledge, and I want to ask you tonight, and I want to be just quite forward, if I may. Mm-hmm. How can we support your effort tonight? How can we do it? Because there's somebody watching that's saying, "Man, I'm feeling what she's saying. She's real." I just saw that in one of the comments, and I want to ask you again. I know that we don't see you when we're watching television in the commercials, because I know that's a tremendous amount of money. And yes. I want to ask you, well, how is it that we can support your efforts?
Well, definitely, number one is prayer, because it is a huge undertaking. Secondly, is your vote. And if you know anyone, you have family and friends that are anywhere in the state of Georgia, reach out to them and let them know about the campaign. They can go to my website, gostovall.com. It's GOSTOVALL.com. You can volunteer with the campaign, and also you can make a contribution. It costs a lot to be able to run a statewide campaign, and you're right. Being able to have the funds to be able to do the television ads, the radio ads, and even the social media push on social media, it does cost money. Those ads are not free. And sure. So the more money we're able to raise, the more we can get the word out. But I believe that, we're running a grassroots type of campaign based on the experience that I have, and also me making sure and doing what I said I'm going to do. After 8 years, I've proven that whatever I say I'm going to do, I'm able to do it. I've supported my community over and over again. And now I want to support a bigger, wider community. and bringing resources back to our state that I know that's up there in Washington, D.C. that we're not getting our fair share of from the federal government down to the local area and even to the state level as well. So go to the website. I'm on all the social media handles. Make sure you're sharing like this show here today. Make sure you all continue to share. On Fridays, I do a Facebook Live show. This Friday, we'll be talking to college students about how their experience has been when COVID first hit and how did that affect their grades and even college affordability. We did one for the high school students before. We did one on immigration. And I also did one talking with teachers and just talking to them about the effects of COVID. So these things are what helped me to be able to build my platform, because I'm always listening to my constituents. And even those who don't agree with me all the time, we are able to have good conversations as well.
Absolutely, because you're not afraid of opposition.
No.
There have been many write-ups in the paper where individuals have not agreed with you and tried to force their position upon you. And I can say that you have been an individual that has never backed down from a fight.
No. I've had wounds from it, but never have backed down, because I believe that if I'm able to go to sleep at night and I have peace about what I'm fighting for, then I continue to fight for it. And I know that what I'm doing is right. Even with the whole issue on parent choice and parents having the ability to choose what school setting that they want best for their children. And I think the government should be able to support that with our taxpayer dollars. It should not be to go to a school because of a zip code.
Yeah.
And we see now how the school districts are now having to conform and having to change out of what they've been normally doing with distance learning, which could have started years ago. I remember even talking with Superintendent Woods and asking them, because my niece and my daughter did online virtual learning. And I said, why don't we spread that out across the state? I said it gives opportunity for school districts that are short on teachers, for highly qualified teachers. I said you can do virtual learning. Let another teacher at another in another district or the same district have those kids who are high performers sit in the classroom and have that screen, and they're able to conduct virtual learning with them. You let the substitute teacher be the facilitator, and then you pay additional stipend to that teacher, that lead teacher that's conducting the classes. Then you're not holding back the kids that are advanced, and then you're able to now also look at those students who are behind and have more time spending with them. So those schools that were virtual online, like Georgia Connection, Georgia Cyber, and some of the others, they didn't miss a beat when COVID came. Those kids were still learning. And there's no reason for our kids to have to be suffering now, and our teachers faced with new professional development classes that they're going to have to continually take on how to keep the attention of your students, how you continue to stay involved with your parents as well.
Yeah, because I know that's been a trending topic on social media just over the last 2 days, where parents are saying, I am so overwhelmed what resources are made available to me as a parent, because some are saying I'm forced to go to work, and I can't necessarily leave the child at home by themselves. I know as a pastor, I've gotten a lot of calls. Is the church open? How much? Is it free? And all of those questions. But then there have been a lot of parents saying, I'm in the home and I don't know what to do. I can't control them. I think that what you said, had it been something explored many years prior, then we could have been better managers of this crisis. And I want to speak to that just for a moment. Why are you always pushing the envelope and always ahead of the curve, doing things to try to improve the communication level between those persons that are already in service, whether it's public education, whether it's political opponents, in opposed to just regular, ordinary people that don't understand the dynamics? And now, particularly since we're in a crisis. Right. And the reason why we titled this show Representation in the Crisis, are you having to make an adjustment, or is this something that you've always been doing pre-crisis? Well,
it's definitely things I've been doing before the crisis. I'm making an adjustment to now see how to increase the services that I already have been provided with information, making sure that people are informed about a lot of things. And even more so for me, the reason why I push so is that I think when you have educated, oh no, somebody trying to, okay, hold on, sorry, y'all.
You're okay. You're okay.
Okay, I think that when you have a educated constituency base, they're able to help support you in everything that you're doing. And so when I'm able to educate them on what their rights are as a community, what parents' rights are, and then when I bring up issues, they're able to go and advocate for themselves, which makes my job a little easier when I'm able to make sure that they're informed about what's available. And so even with the crisis, the unemployment claims insurance was another big issue.
Yeah.
And I joined with some of my colleagues with having different press conferences at the various Department of Labor locations across the state of Georgia, and asking the commissioner, Mark Butler, who is a statewide elected official. We're not in charge of him. The governor's not in charge of him. The people are, because the people elected him statewide just like they did the governor.
Help my ignorance. He's the labor commissioner, correct?
Yes, he's the labor commissioner.
Give me his name once again.
Mark Butler. Mark
Butler. Okay. For our listening audience, if you've been wondering why your benefits may have been delayed or you haven't seen them at all, is it fair to say that they should look to the labor commissioner?
Yes, he's the one that we elected. You heard me say we. Whether you voted for him or not, once they're elected, they're a representation of everybody. Just
absolutely.
Like I'm not voting for the governor, but once the governor is sworn in, the governor is the governor of all of Georgia. And so because of that, Mark Butler has not been doing his job. And so we as the legislators have been going around because the people have been contacting our office and saying, y'all got to do something. And we're telling them, our hands are tied. Number one, we're not in session. We're only in session 40 days out of a year. Now, we were in session. We could pass legislation, but then we have to make sure the governor is not going to veto it. Then we have to come back and override the veto. So it's a lot of processes through that. But these are things that he bragged about, that he had this system that they had put in place, digital system, and they were ahead the curve of all the other states. And all this is what we heard early on with the COVID-19. So I was like, okay, good. Then we started getting all these phone calls and emails from constituents saying, I applied in February, I applied in March, I have not heard anything. I'm trying to reset my PIN, I can't do it. So some issues are small that can be handled. Other issues, of course, more complicated. And what we've also asked the governor to step in to say, send the National Guard to go in and help set up a call center to be able to hear these people's concerns and being able to pass it on. If you need to hire additional staff, Commissioner Butler, you need to say that. And you didn't make that recommendation when we were in session voting on the budget. I tell you that some of the other departments say, hey, I'm going to need more staff. You think we would not have voted to have more money in the budget for staff so that our constituents don't have to suffer like they're doing now? And so many people showed up at these offices and they were crying and everything. And then the commissioner had a nerve to say that the legislators was inciting a riot at the office of the Labor's Commission, the Labor's office, Department of Labor's office. And we're saying, well, why don't you come out and talk to them? Why are we having to stand in the gap? That's not our job to stand in the gap for you. You got elected just like we did.
Absolutely.
I told him, I said, if I find your address, I'm going to post it on Facebook, tell everybody, go knock on his door like he knocked on your door when it was time for election. You was looking at them commercials, that means that when he was knocking on your door. And so those type of things are things that we have to fight for constantly. Also, I've been working with Hand, Heart, and Soul Project for delivering fresh fruits and vegetables to different people across around the metro area. We've even gone out outside the metro area to do that. And I think we probably have serviced at least, I know, over 1,000 some boxes we've delivered to different families, and this is free. And these are the fresh fruits and vegetables from the farmers who, during the COVID-19, of course, their business dropped because the restaurants weren't open and the schools weren't open, which were a major part of their customers. And so the federal government set aside money to pay them for those fresh fruits and vegetables that were going to go bad, and now they've been able to distribute them out into the community as well.
And you have been instrumental because you were fighting for those farmers years
Yes.
ago in helping them. And man, I'm just it never stops with you. You've always got your hand in helping people. As one of the comments just lifted up, we are in a crisis. Um, whether people have not received their unemployment, or whether, as the reports have continued to come in, that now that many of the sanctions have been lifted and evictions are imminent, foreclosures are going to be prevalent, we are going to see the likes. One analyst said in the days of the Great Depression, and God forbid, we do not wish to see that in our lifetimes or in the lifetimes of our children or children's children.
Right.
But to know that you are doing your part and you are fighting, whether it's in the Labor Commission's office or whether it's in a vehicle passing out produce and vegetables, or whether you are talking to another representative, and hopefully after November you will be one that will be deliberating with fellow
Yes.
U.S. senators
Yes.
because of your dedication and your loyalty. And I want to ask you again, how is it that those who have seen what you've said tonight and believed your message, how can they support your work?
Go to gostovall.com. You can actually, if you want to know more information, I wasn't able to share today about some of the things I've done, even with supporting Clayton State University, and a lot of other things, having a career job fair for 6 years because I saw the need. Also doing a recognition for parents who had volunteered 12 hours or more. So all those things done within that whole 8-year span. Did a Educate Georgia Summit where we brought together people from all over the state to talk about the future of education. And even had the governor that was our keynote speaker for 2 years for all 3 years straight. He was our keynote speaker. So those are the type of things I talk about, bipartisan work that would not have happened had they not seen who I am as a legislator and the work that I've already done moving forward. So go to my website, pass the word on. More importantly is making sure that you're telling your family, your friends, your co-workers to make sure that they are voting on November the 3rd. Even early voting is actually starting, will be starting October the 12th. So our job, what we've been doing now, is doing a lot of radio and TV interviews, trying to make sure we get the word out, because once early voting started, people are going to start, deciding who they're going to vote for before November the 3rd. So we need to make sure that you all are talking to everyone about this campaign, and also making a donation of $5, $10, $20 or more can go a long ways with what we're trying to do as far as getting the word out.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I want to challenge, if you don't mind, if I could take the liberty as the host of Long Talk, if I take the liberty, I want to ask at least 50 in our numbers support that there are at least 50 people watching, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube tonight.
Yes.
If you'll go and make that contribution to the Stovall campaign, as she said moments ago, if it's $5, $10, 15, 20, I'm sure she'll appreciate if it's in the thousands, but every little bit helps.
Yes.
And I'm just thankful you took the time to sit down and talk with us here on Long Talk, because I remember when you had your office to contact me, I started smiling from ear to ear. I said, not the representative, not the lady that's vying for the U.S. Senate. She wants to come on Long Talk. Oh my God, when and where? And as we were going back and forth with your office and were able to secure the date, I tell you, I am honored that you would take the time to sit down and talk with us here tonight. Many are just saying again, I really wish you would do it up under that traditional banner, right? But you are saying to us tonight, it's the people more than the label. More people over party. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And so when you're taking people over party, then it does not matter how the party shifts, because the party is going to shift in the views. But when you're looking at what's right for the people, that part is not going to shift. And so definitely, and this is a time you look at COVID-19 as something we never experienced before in like 99% of our lives. Some people are 100 and older, 90 something years they may have, but those who have not. So this is a shift and a change. And so this is a time to be able to look at not just looking at a party, because eventually we're going to eventually get away from some of the partisanship. You look at a lot of the young millennials now are looking at, I want to know who the people are, not so much as the party. You have so many more people. If you look at the more progressive Democrats, you have more progressive Republicans. You have the Tea Party over with the Republicans. So ones that don't are not ideally the traditional Republicans. Same thing with the progressive Democrats. They're not traditionally the ideal. They just say, I'm gonna still hang on to the party on both sides. And I said, I'm not hanging on. We busted loose. So we're out here as an independent. And so if you want to bust loose with us, come on over here with independent. And that doesn't mean that you're straying away from the Democratic Party. It does not mean you're straying away from the Republican Party, but it just means that you have another choice. So I'm giving you another choice and another option on the ballot for November the 3rd.
Right. And I want to lift that up again. Somebody said, okay, y'all keep beating this dead horse, but I see even the team is letting me know that our numbers are fluctuating during this conversation. And again, when is that date that we're going to vote?
November the 3rd. So you need to make sure you check your status. That's very important. Go to mvp.sos.ga.gov. That is where you can check to see if you are registered to vote in the state of Georgia.
Hold on, say that again for me. I want to put that in the notes.
Okay, MVP sos.ga.gov.
Perfect.
And so that's the Secretary of State's office. You can maybe go in there, you'll put in your first initial, your last name, the county, and your date of birth. And then it will come up and tell you whether you're registered. If you're not registered, it will give you a link that if you have a driver's license, Georgia driver's license, or Georgia ID, you can register online, and they will send you your registration card that will tell you where you are to go vote. But early voting does start October the 12th, and the last day to register to vote for the November the 3rd election is October the 5th. So if you're not registered when you go to the MVP, Secretary of State's office, and you don't see your name comes up, then make sure that you go ahead and register by October the 5th. Don't wait too late. As a matter of fact, another challenge is to vote early. That way you won't have to worry about standing in the lines. And you can also request for an absentee ballot as well from your local county elections office.
Wonderful. And you're running for what seat again, for those that are in the back or those that are just joining us? What seat are you running for?
I'm running for the U.S. Senate seat for the November the 3rd election. And this is the seat that Senator Johnny Isaacson retired from this particular seat. And it's a special election held on the same day as the general election.
Wonderful. Listen, I so appreciate you taking the time. LongTalk audience, again, GoStovall.com. Also, if you will trend this hashtag for us tonight so that we can continue to build the momentum, hashtag GoStovall. Again, hashtag Go Stovall. It's there on your screen. If you will go ahead and begin trending this hashtag and allow it to trend, pass it to your neighbors, share it, do whatever you have to do, and get individuals registered. If you need to, please help as many, because what you are saying here tonight really is needed. When you talked about those students, when you talked about those individuals that have not received their benefits, when you again talked about those that have not been able to seemingly understand what's the real difference, why couldn't you just be satisfied doing it at the state level? And tonight that you've answered all of these questions and provided for us a platform, I am extremely thankful.
Thank you. I appreciate it. One other thing, if I may,
Yes, ma'am.
is that a lot of people did ask, Representative, why you didn't stay in your seat? I didn't have any opposition. Nobody qualified. Actually, when I decided to run for this seat, I waited to the last day of qualifying to make sure that this is what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you can stay in a place too long
Yeah.
that you end up missing the blessing that God has set for you because you want to stay. And so I told them, I said, yeah, I can stay. Leadership wanted me to stay. They was asking me, why are you running? Why don't you stay? You know, you already got leadership. I have an actual leadership position at the state capitol as the vice chair of the subcommittee on education. And it's only one of two, maybe, Democrats at the state capitol that have a leadership position like that. And so it wasn't that I had to leave, that everybody wanted me to stay, but I said, no, I need to be able to do something bigger and better for the people of the state of Georgia.
Yeah. We applaud your courageousness.
Thank you.
This is a huge undertaking, which is, again, one of the main reasons why I'm asking everybody tonight to go to GoStovall.com and read up, because while you have been laying it out for us for nearly an hour, there's still so much that you have not been able to address. And hopefully we can bring you back again before November the 3rd, because I know you've got so much to share with everybody. But I want to just say again, thank you so much for taking time, absolutely taking time to talk to us and to just share. I mean, when I say share, I mean, you didn't say to me, ask me these questions. I told you, I said, I'm going to ask a litany of questions. You never said which questions. And we really, those of us that have been in journalism for a little while, we realize that most interviews are controlled environments, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have not been one to try to control the temperature of tonight's dialogue, even though it's long talk. You said, I'm going to come in, I'm going to answer every question, and I appreciate you for doing that on this evening.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity and appreciate your listening audience as well.
All right. Enjoy the balance of the evening.
All right. Thank you.
Take care. Take care.
All right.
Friends, what a night. What a night. Whew. Need just a minute to take in that long talk. Boy, when I tell you, we just heard just a comprehensive platform from a elected official. We didn't get a lot of jargon. We didn't get a lot of fluff. We heard her record. We heard what she's been doing in the neighborhood, in the cities, in the district, and even on the state level. And now it is that she wished to take her efforts, her talents and her gifts, and serve in the U.S. Senate. While, again, I say you may not have seen her face on any television commercial. I get it. I understand. Maybe you've not heard a radio ad. Maybe you've not even seen her on social media, because the cost of doing all advertisement is so enormous. But I'm thankful that Long Talk is a platform where elected officials, authors, business leaders, religious leaders, no matter what walk of life you come from, this is a platform that you can share what it is that you believe you've been purposed to do. And I'm so thankful that the representative from the 74th District and now vying for the U.S. Senate, Seat 1, has decided to come and talk to us. I am thankful. Long Talk audience, as always, stay connected to us. Please, please. I need you to go ahead and follow us, whether you're doing it on Instagram or you're doing it on Twitter or you're watching here tonight on Facebook. Go ahead and follow us here on Facebook. Hit that follow button. Hit that share button. There are so many of your friends that are going to the polls this November, and they have said it out loud. I've heard them because my friends have said the same thing. I'm just going to make sure I get that one out of the president's office, right? But co-equally, we must be concerned about the Senate. We must be concerned about Congress seats. We must be concerned about all. And so I'm encouraging everybody, please do the research. Go back and listen to this broadcast. Share this broadcast so that your friends, your family members do not have to vote in the dark, so that they don't have to get to the ballot booth and say, psst, what's his name? Who am I voting for? If they watch this tonight, they're going to say, yeah, that woman, the one that was on LongTalk, Stovall, go Stovall. And so that is the reason why you need to continue to follow LongTalk. Listen, we got to go. I'm so thankful that, again, you took the time. Join us again this Thursday night. It's going to be another wonderful conversation of LongTalk. I know that many of you have had, the week has gotten off to a rough start. I want to say that before we go. Many kids are back virtually learning. You're at the house, or maybe you returning back to your job. And boy, it's overwhelming. Hey, listen, I want to let you know, no matter how glamorous it looks on the other side, we all are going through. Everybody's going through a struggle. Keep the smile on your face. I know you may have to shed some tears. You feel overwhelmed. You feel a bit. Take the load off. Take some time in the morning to meditate. Here on LongTalk, we promote that every person promote self-care and do your own wellness checkup. So take the time. We're having a LongTalk tonight, and I don't want to end it without letting you know that you need to take care of yourself. You can't do everything. I know something's got to give, and I've heard you say that. It's going to be all right. Just take your time. I'm going to make it through this week. You're going to look back and you're going to say, wow, that was a tough one. But most importantly, I want you to make it through the week. And that's why I want you to come back on Thursday night. So we've got another conversation that's going to help you get through the rest of the week. All right? All right. Well, listen, we appreciate you for watching. And thank you so much for being a part of LongTalk. God bless you. And we'll see you Thursday night.
Follow us on Facebook at Daunta A. Long. Follow us on Instagram at Daunta Long. Follow us on YouTube at Daunta A. Long. Thank you for tuning in to LongTalk.